IMHO Talk Show. Yeah, buddy. IMHO Talk Show.
Yeah.
What you know no good, Razor?
Hey, I'm excited here, man. Like, I'm looking for the next stages of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay. So that's how we doing. That's how we kicking it off.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking for the next. I made some hiccups, and I'm rectifying those things, but I really feel like I have myself set up nice for the next stage of my life.
Okay. Yeah. Props to that. You know, they say, like the first step is just acknowledging and admitting, that we gotta do better in a certain area.
Nah, I think I really didn't figure it out this time.
Hey, we know what they say, God of a second chance. Don't get me preaching up in here, Razor. Don't get me preaching on this good Sunday.
I had a good show this morning with Pastor Bates, and
word.
It helped. It helped align some things that I knew was coming. So yeah,
I feel you, bro. Yeah, so IMHO Talk Show, Razor. That was, whether you know it or not, that was a great way to start things.
That's how God worked.
That's how God worked.
Yeah.
His time is not our time.
That's right.
But you know what? One of the big topics this week that that the people are talking about, and we just got to bring to the airwaves is per always, politics as usual.
Yeah.
But in particular, the current president, Donald J. Trump, has interjected himself and his cabinet and his policies within our criminal justice system again.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Which has been done before, and of course, it's nothing new for presidents to sort of, wield their powers, to cause and effect, whatever the effect may be, whether it's positive or negative, depending on how you're looking at it, right? So, but the big news this week, and was causing quite a stir, right? Because when we've seen these things happen before, it's been mostly, from my perception, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but positive. We're talking about when it comes to pardoning.
Yeah.
Or commuting sentences.
Yeah.
Sentences of inmates. For those of that may not know, talking specifically about this week, Chicago legend, for better or for worse, Larry Hoover, sentence was commuted by Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Razor.
Okay, talk to me.
So glad I got you with me.
Yeah. Tell me about the gun line.
Because a lot of people we're in a uproar of applause, saying, look at how Trump is pardoning, look how Trump is giving black men other chances, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then they'll point back at maybe Democratic presidents who had opportunities to do this for brothers such as Larry Hoover, but did not. But now, don't get me wrong, there has been others who had criminal backgrounds, felonies, and they were actually pardoned.
Yeah.
It's important that we remember, for people to properly discern their excitement and their judgment for understanding exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want you to I want your perception before I even go to the DOJ website and give people the list. I want Razor's perception, because people who listen to IMHO Talk Show know that this is a topic that Razor hasn't shied away from.
Yeah.
And they know that Razor talks a lot about, you always have the backs of your brothers who are incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, those who need voices in the criminal justice system, whether it's, custody, restoration of rights, whatever.
Yeah.
You've been vocal about it.
Yeah. I was one.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So right now, again, to clarify, Brother Hoover his sentencing was not pardoned, which means his crimes have not been forgiven. He has not been released out of jail. It has been commuted, which means that some of the federal charges that the president has power over were lessened.
Okay.
But he did not do anything on the state charges. In other words, Brother Hoover is still behind bars.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on that? And then also for the people who are giving the president such pats on the back and making a hoopla about the fact that he looked out for a brother like Hoover by commuting his sentences. Is that as impactful as people are making it sound?
No, it's not, because he's a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like he said years ago, what do you got to lose to vote for me? That's what he told black people, right? So anything that he does when it comes to a sentencing, right, it's better than what you had. But at the same time, he doesn't really unhinge the power dynamic when it comes to the powers that be over people of color when it comes to incarceration. So I lessened your sentence, and you got less than what but you're still locked up. I'm not going to do you like I did some of the other people. I'm not going to do you like I did in Culpeper, you know what I'm saying, and get you all the way up out of something. I'm not going to do you like I did some of the other people that I may have business ties with that could actually say something on me as well. So, but like most things, our people get so excited for everything. You know what I'm saying? We gotta, and that's just, that comes from the struggle that we live in. You know what I'm saying? Like how many of us know more than 4 or 5 scriptures, or how many of us have graduated, like especially when it comes to the men, from a higher education after high school, right?
Right.
But on the flip side, how many of us know how many different line dances? You know, how many people run around here with cowboy boots and scared of bugs? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just, it's crazy to me what we will accept and call a victory.
Yeah.
Him getting a commune sentence is nothing more than him checking a box, because that man is still waking up to 3 hots in a cot.
So is it a good olive branch? Like, is it a nice step? Is it a good gesture? Can we look at it in any way?
No. Why?
No?
He's still in jail. He's still in jail. Like, I mean, that's for anybody that's been incarcerated, like, you serve 2 days. The day you go in, the day you come out. He hasn't served the second day yet. And the president has the power over it. So why even commune the sentence if you're going to keep the man incarcerated? Unless he's right at the end of his state charges and he will have served his time. I wasn't thinking about that. If he's at the end of his state charges and he's getting ready to come out, say within 6 months, then if he did that, then he did something where he kind of appeased everybody. I didn't take him off his charges. He's still found guilty. He's still going to be held by the laws of the land when he gets out for his parole and probation. But at the same time, he won't die in there.
Yeah.
You know, so I would be curious to know if he's at the end of his state sentence, you know, and then if he is, it's a power move, because Hoover is somebody who can move crowds. He can still be effective in the streets.
And that's exactly what I was thinking as well, is that, and even that could backfire, right? But
when you say backfire, what do you mean, bro?
Like, that could backfire on Trump's presidency, because he could be thinking just that point of, okay, if I show favor to him, then all the folks who support him will show favor to me. But I think that could backfire if a brother like Hoover, you know, goes opposite way and be like, I don't like, thank you for that. Like, but I don't support that.
You remember Nelson Mandela?
Yeah.
After all the years that he did,
right.
Like, when older, especially black men, when we get to a certain point, we want peace. You know what I'm saying? We want everybody to calm down. Even though we might have lived a hellish life early, we want peace. Yeah. So he's not going to unhinge. Yeah.
And therein lies the problem, right? To me, that's exactly why I said that, because a lot of the people who shout victory behind it are, though, to me, they're falling for the okie doke. It's the same thing, Razor, as when we say, you know, like, Democrats got us, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, by our manhood in a clinch grip. Yeah. Right. They like whatever they do, we, you know,
we're supposed to follow.
We go along with it. Yep. Or we take these little, like, inklings of progress and overblow them. Right. We said it about Democrats all the time.
Yeah.
So when I look at what Trump is doing with things such as this Hoover, you know, sentence commuting is the same thing, right? To me, it's like, ooh, let me do something for them to think that I care about their black men. Because let's say that he got out. Yeah. What is he coming home to? That's the part that blows my mind the most, is that, okay, so let's say we free all our brothers. Yeah. But then if they're coming home to still a racist, unjust system, that's still going to have them,
they're going back.
Like in front of a police barrel, or still struggling to provide for your family, still got a community that's ravaged. Then, okay, you freed them. That was a nice gesture, but nothing about these policies tell me that this is authentic and that he cares about these brothers.
Go back to who he was before he was president. Right.
Yeah.
But go back to what he was before he was president. He was a businessman. So if he does something like that to Hoover, we don't know that it has some underlying stipulations. Like if you go back, then you get twice the time, right? So then he comes out, he writes another book, he speaks on behalf of certain things, right? He doesn't have to walk around with the blue suit and the red tie, but at the same time, he's controlled by the narrative because his freedom is attached to
Absolutely.
it.
And other black men like him, like I said.
And they will follow and get in suit and get in line, which is a business move. So while it may be short-lived on our end, it might be the long game for him.
Yeah. And to answer your other question, like unless Trump is talking to the State Department of Justice in Illinois, Larry ain't getting out.
Yeah.
Because he had 200 years from the state.
Yeah. Unless, like I said, unless there's a glitch in there that's going to release him, shorter than what the time is. So that's what I'd be anxious to see, because policies always get changed in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be something to it. Other than that, I think Hoover would have spoke up and said something. Has anybody heard anything from him? Like he made any comments?
So I've heard representatives, because there's, civil rights attorneys and stuff that have been representing him over time. And of course, like they're happy for the gesture that the president has made. But I haven't really heard anybody talk about, honestly, the other side of it, of saying, okay, yeah, it was just that. It was a gesture. Yeah. And again, the thing that blows my mind the most, though, is like, the black folk that I see that are rejoicing so much about this. And it's like we falling for just a different okie doke, the same okie doke that the folks who didn't vote or voted for Trump, because they say they're just tired of the Democrats kind of just like pulling us along, so to speak, or like doing,
they're entitled.
or like doing all these like, trivial things that like they don't really have substance in their eyes.
Yeah.
To me, like this is another one of those things. And as I've said before, Razor, I think many folks know, like with my thing, man, it's, to me, voting is always based on the common good. Like if we go back to the foundations like of this country, if we take it, at face value, like what was declared, what was constituted, like we know how that was used.
Right.
But if we take it at face value, kind of like how President Obama said a lot about how we're always in pursuit, for a better nation and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Is that I would rather vote for systems, so to speak, that help people, and then be a part of the people who are empowering each other to constantly like rise above, rather than voting for a system who says it's dog eat dog and I'm only going to give to the top 1%. I'm not going to look out like for those who are impoverished or have disabilities and whatnot, because to me, that's the big difference, like between like the two entities. Okay. You have one entity, which is Republican conservative. And I'm generalizing, but Republican conservative will say, get yours. There's no ceiling.
Pull yourself by your bootstraps.
Yeah. Free market. You can get it. Right. But those who are on the bottom rank, they don't really provide like that handout. It's like, you just get it if you can. And we all know that usually comes from stepping on people.
Right.
Now, on the other side, the Democratic side, I get that the argument there is that there's too many systematic things in place that where people feel like that is keeping our people like oppressed, and it's keeping them at, like at the foot of the government, and it's making us too dependent. Yeah. And now we've gotten complacent with services that we're provided, and then we're just constantly at their, plea and their plight.
But what you said,
but I feel like that one's better. I feel like we got to empower each other to be like, all right, you use that to get to your next step, but don't stay dependent.
But but the way you described it, for a person like me, it was the same thing. So one, the Republicans, you described that as the slave ship, right? The oppressive version of the boat. And the Democrats you described as the cruise ship. Same thing. I got you.
It's still a ship.
It's still a ship. I'm still in control of it. You still riding.
Right,
just under the impression that you own something better. To me, it's no different. Like when we had the last show, and I said openly, tell me how much it's going to take, or what does it take to buy you off, right? Because power changes people, influence, fame changes people, right? Policies change people. People trying to leave their legacy changes people. So I don't think that just because you identify with a Democrat or a Republican, it changes human nature. And I think human nature is built on survival, whether it's from a deficit point or an abundance point. It's still survival, of the fittest.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, those are the two major parties that we are given, right? Commercially to choose from.
Right.
But ultimately, I'm pretty sure you know where I stand when it comes to like, we got to learn how to do for self. I feel like,
I'm with you on
throughout generations and time, like we've never really encapsulated that. In the times where we got close, it's definitely like a PTSD issue. It's definitely generational trauma to why some of us don't even want to try anymore.
That's true.
Because when we did, you saw what happened to it.
Right.
It gets burnt down.
Right.
Or you get to the finish line and then they move the line. Or you learn the rules of the game and then they change the rules of the game. When I say they, I'm talking about, like the social structure, like the system who once oppressed us and then wanted to integrate us. But as you say many times, it was never about integrating the body. It was about integrating the money.
Yeah. It's like, the old thing from the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. And everybody always talks about, I'll take the red pill for this, or I'll take the blue pill for this. Nobody ever pays attention that it's coming from the same body. You know what I'm saying? At its origin, it's coming from the same person. And that's where us not having the mindset to really create and do is limited to, because it's like the wingtips behind the curtain. You got the president as a figurehead, but it's really the ones over here that's controlling the narrative, right? It's the same thing. I honest to goodness don't think, I don't have much faith in nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, especially not man. Like man,
as much as I have faith in, okay, things will change. How will you adapt to them? What mistakes can you overcome? What can you survive? You're going to go through storms, but it's not the water that you go through that turns over the boat. It's the water that you let in the boat. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm learning to look at life at 51. Like I've made a lot of things rough for myself and people that I love and around me, right? With not the right intention, but that doesn't justify the fact to exalt me from not having to go through what I went through, because you still made a bad decision.
That's right. And
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's ultimately what it's about. Whether it's the second chances or whether it's like looking for the good in all things, the silver lining or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Like that's the hope, right? And that's why I don't feel we should give up. And I feel like that's the inherent spirit that is dying, in society in so many ways. And also feel like that it was.
I don't know if it's dying or it's just being choked out. That's two different things. Like,
I mean, either way.
No, they totally
like
different.
Whether it's being forced by choking it out, it's still trying to reach its demise.
Choking out, right? Yeah. But choking out has the ability to reverse itself. Dying off, it's already went across that point. And the problem with the English language is we generalize too many words. Where one stops, another one starts. And sometimes if we get back to let your yes be yes and your no be no, we can limit a lot of the problems, right? It don't limit the past that you have to live through, but it'll limit a lot of the things that you go through in the future. And sometimes you have to decide to do different in different places, So for those of you who consider yourself Democrats, try to understand why you're a Democrat. Is it because of generational curses, so to speak? Or why, if you don't look like me and you find yourself to be a hard Republican, why are you that way? Because of the totem pole effect and you don't want to be down on the bottom, right? But you're still being controlled. There's so many things that we don't ask ourselves about daily life. And then we're left with whatever the news says. And it's even worse now because everybody's walking around with a computer in their pocket. And everybody, as long as you type something, it can become somebody's truth. That's facts. I don't have much faith in where things are right now. I believe if we can get back to a communal place, then we stand a lot better of surviving things. Because you go through stuff, you might have to, have your community tell you, look, no, y'all go off to the side and y'all fix that. Or no, y'all need to get together and y'all need to talk. Y'all don't need to be separate. We don't need to be like, I know you're a church kid. We don't need to be like the old churches. And then when the music director got mad, he left off and went and go start a storefront church. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't able to preach. He didn't have his time.
No, I got you though.
I used to see that all the time because I wasn't in church. So I was one of the ones on the sideline looking to be entertained.
You was judging too.
Yeah. You know how they say we listen, but we don't judge. I listen and I judge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that's just it. Like we, coming to this point, and I heard you say we vote off of, sort of survival instinct.
Yeah.
Like that's the sad part, right? And that's where I hope that spirituality comes into play. That's where I hope that God's people, if you will, continue to grow, because progress is progress, but at the same time, like maximizing that thing. And we that have kids, I believe, look forward to different generations, and we try to leave it better, or at least we should be, or at least impart on them some sort of wisdom and knowledge that maybe they can, be the ones, as they say.
Yeah.
Because I think that's ultimately it, man. Because if the world is inherently corrupt, if we're saying the systems, the governments are inherently corrupt,
they are.
Then the thing is that we need to stop like trying to assimilate so much. And I see that's what's happening the most. It's almost like we've thrown in the towel, and we're like, no matter how ugly Trump acts, and like no matter how much he disrespects and disregards our history, our being as Black people, it's like we're gonna be okay with that now because he got money and he's telling me I can get money. It's like, to me, that is like at the core, like trying to get at the root of destroying the soul of a people.
See, I love when I hear you talk like that, because what you're describing to me is the Black man pre-America and the Black man post-America. Once we came over here, it's been all about the bag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because that is the way of this land, we always adapt. Black people always adapt. So we're adapting to the atmosphere that we're in. That's why when I hear people like yourself go back home to Africa and you talk about the change and how it felt different and whatnot, it's because we're so adaptive. So you take a good person, you stick him in the penitentiary, he can become a monster. You take that same monster and put him around books and people speaking with some good sense, he can become a scholar. You know what I'm saying? We're so adaptive. So one thing I want to get back to what you said was, just because we say survival does not mean deficit. You know what I'm saying? But it's like in the Bible, my mom used to always say, you reap what you sow. And I had never read the Bible. So once I did read, I said, Mama, wait a minute. It says you reap good, you sow good. You reap bad, you sow bad. Why you never told me that? She said, well, nobody never told me. And it's one of those things where we don't choose to look for the information ourselves and have relationship with the situations as opposed to trying to just take the information and pass it on.
I feel you. But I will push back at one little thing you said, though, before we go to break, is like when we came, though, like at least at first, we still tried to hold on.
Yeah, because we had been that longer than we were this.
Yeah, exactly.
But now that we've been 400 plus years of this,
I got you.
We're all about the bag. Like you and I can go to certain places right now, and that watch you got right there will get both of us killed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? For no other reason. I'm just saying. That's where I come from. You know what I'm saying?
And like generationally, like sort of generation by generation, we're getting further and further away.
Yeah.
You know
no, we're not even. I wouldn't even say that. Not to disagree with you, but I wouldn't even say we're further and further away. We are where we are now. We don't even, to be further away from something means that you know the way back. We don't know the way back to there right now. In my humble opinion.
Not even all the people that's Afrocentric, that's like saging instead of praying and all that stuff.
Oh, you want to do this?
Like they ain't close. This is the question.
No. That's a gimmick. It's no more than wearing afros and dashikis.
I mean, like,
and
I'm
locks
kind of being funny, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, but they need to hear that. It's like whatever's going to be popular in the next 10 years, that's what they're going to be. We won't even hear the word woke anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because it won't mean the same thing. Just like the N word. It was derogatory one time. Then we tried to tell everybody it was a term of endearment because of our atmosphere and where we come from. Now we don't even know what we want to call it.
Yeah.
You know?
Max, you want to wait till the next segment? You want to take us to break?
I didn't even know she was here.
Yeah, because I'm going to take us a break with this because like I don't want to douse that people do that, because I understand that spirituality comes in a lot of forms. I'm one who believes that people praise God and it's in different languages, it's through different cultures. And I think it's actually a hindrance and purposely when some people in the name of Christian missions go to other places to teach them their way of worshiping and praising without learning the people first, learning the culture. Right. Because a lot of times where they going, like that's where it originated from.
Yeah.
And like, but they just teach it a different way. So to me, like that's more about that control aspect as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm against it because a lot of the people that do it that I've been around only do it because they're going against white people. They're going against the system. They're going against, this is a white man religion. Like when we get super, super black.
Oh, right? Okay. I thought you were talking about going missions. Okay.
Yeah, no, not that. When we get super, super black, we start, anything that we can find that's against this is what we now become. It's the same thing that we complain about what white people have done to us. You know what I'm saying? We just do it in reverse. But which is fine if you at least acknowledge that that's where it's coming from.
Yeah,
I can't find a foothold in your place, so I'm going to build my own, even if I'm standing alone. That's fine. Just acknowledge it to be that. Don't make other people feel like you're not being black enough because you're not standing in the same place that I am. Because when I stand anywhere else, I'm standing at a deficit.
Gotcha.
I'm not with that.
So Razor, so let's bring it back full circle as we take this break. What would be your final word,
about Trump now?
Yeah, like to the brothers who are seeing these. Some are pardons, some are commuted sentences, and they're getting excited about it and be like, oh, so this is the guy that's gonna save us or get us out.
Yeah.
Like just you being Razor.
Yeah.
And you see that being done for brothers who are incarcerated. Like, what would be your word to the brothers if they listen to you right now?
Don't get happy until you're the one walking out the jail. Like, stop being. It's not that you're not celebrating somebody else's success, but it's okay to love yourself and want better for yourself, right? And if I'm clapping for Larry Hoover, he has no reason to make it to where I'm going to be exalted, or why should he have to do something for me? You know what I'm saying? Like if Trump says, look, I made the black people happy. Look, I communed this sentence. I ain't really do nothing, but they cheering and they happy. They're line dancing.
So that's not even walking out then. That's my whole point.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying.
It's not that you're happy till you walking out. Is that are you happy that he's even showing any favor?
No, he shouldn't be. Yeah. Because
But even when you walk out, if you're walking back to the same mess, then are you saying that's something to be happy about?
No. If you take and if you were to put me back in prison, right, with the mindset I have now, and I walk out the jail and I'm at what I would consider dire straits, dead broke, nothing to look forward to, right? As long as my feet can take me away from that atrocity of that jail, I stand a chance of making my life better. Now, where I'm going to find my peace and my growth is not where I came back from. So I think it's kind of a disservice to send people back to a place where I got in trouble at. You know what I'm saying? Because that comfort level and that despair is still waiting to embrace you. I think that people should have to go other places that they don't know anybody, that they literally have to confide in themselves and do right and figure it out because I don't have a safety net.
Yeah, I mean that's easier said than done, though.
It's not.
Like, and a lot of people don't even realize there.
Wait a minute, hold y'all. It's not. Yeah. Like honestly, it's if you tell somebody to walk down the road, they're like, I ain't walking. It's hot. It's this, that, and the other. But you have 2 feet that God gave you to go anywhere that you want to go.
But that's still easier said than done, though.
What? How?
If you get incarcerated at 18 and you get out 40, you're coming out as an 18-year-old. Like, so you're going to naturally migrate to what you know.
I agree.
So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying easier said than done.
What I'm saying, though, the ones that come out that way are the ones that's running around trying to live on the street while they're locked up. The ones that actually take the time to read, to watch something simple as Jeopardy, to where you're getting information inside of you that's working on their bodies, they don't come out at 18. They don't come out the same age. They come out at the age that they are with the knowledge that they have. What sends them back is the lack of opportunities because people see that felony on their record.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But I used to think the same way until I was one of those people. You can keep your mind from being incarcerated. It's not as hard as people think it is. It's just easier to join the party, so to speak, and run around in pants hanging and do all these things, right? Because you don't know what you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a better way.
Oh, for sure. So since we don't have time to come back for another segment, I got another quick question. We got to make it quick, though. We do got 4 minutes. But so there has been talk as well about Trump making another pardon.
Did it?
Because why you always get ahead of me?
I've been around you too long.
Because people, look back at the fact that Trump used to hobnob with a bunch of New York elites years ago.
He used to be in them parties with the baby oil.
I ain't say all that, but if
I
you
did.
say so, and people could even go back to recordings on why he was like degrading and insulting Republicans, and he actually is on tape saying if he ever ran for president, he would run as a Republican because
when he was younger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's all self-aggrandizement. It's all like narcissism. To me, everything that he does.
Yeah.
And Elon too. But all that being said, before I go any further with this though, I want to make a disclaimer about Sean Diddy Combs.
Okay.
All right. What I don't like in the court of public opinion is that if somebody want to be a freak, they can be a freak. That ain't illegal. Let's be honest. If you want to be gay, bisexual, you can do what you want to do. It's a free country. That ain't against the law.
Where's this going, Charles?
That ain't against the law. I'm still waiting to see the proof and the evidence about the illegal activities. That's what I wish that people could be judged on, but we know because of social media, public opinion, that rarely is going to happen anymore. Yeah. If there's child trafficking, if there's like rape proven, abuse, like the elevator footage, charge them for that. That was abuse. Ain't no way around. You know what I'm saying?
No way around.
But all this talk about putting the man in jail, because he got supplies of baby oil, what they got to do with anything? You know what I'm saying? But that being said, what if Trump pardons Diddy?
If Trump pardons Diddy,
does that get more black people on his side?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
right?
Because we already counsel,
especially our sisters, right?
I guess culturally we counsel, not everybody.
But the other caveat to it is Trump wants people to know that he'll do what he want to do. You know what I'm saying? In my humble opinion, right? So if he does decide to pardon Diddy, two things is possible. One, he was at some of the parties. You know what I'm saying? And two, he wants people to understand and know, I'm going to do what I want to do because y'all really not going after him for what you said you're going after him for, just like y'all did me. Just like I said that y'all did me. Let me say that. So at that point, he's being Trump. He's still being the businessman. We, for whatever reason, want him to be a politician. And that's not what he is. He's a businessman. And we choose to forget that because all the signs are right there. So if he tends to pardon Diddy, I would feel for Diddy because he probably has a 2-year shelf life. You know what I'm saying? People that get out for situations like that, if you look back, they don't really live long within 2 years. And
then they also have continuous legal issues. Right. Because when you get off one thing, there's going to be people with civil suits and more suits. Yeah. So it's never going to stop the rest of his life.
Yeah. And then it's easier to get rid of him if he's a free man than if he's incarcerated.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
Plus, if some of these child allegations stick, they treat you even worse in there if you got charged against you about children.
Nah, he has so much money he won't even be touched. He'll have a whole wing.
He be in solitary.
No, he ain't gonna be in no solitary. He gonna have a whole section by itself. He's not. He has too much money to be touched. You know what I'm saying? He literally, all they gotta do is find the worst people. Your mom's sick, pay off her medical bills. This person buy the house. He can't. He won't be touched in there. You know what I'm saying? So people need to stop looking at so many old movies back in the day because it's not that way no more. You know what I'm saying? It's just not that way no more. But if he pardons him, Diddy probably got 2 years left on life before he have a heart attack. He was at a scuba diving incident. He got, you know what I'm saying? If him, I don't even know that I want to get out if Trump pardoned him because that's what comes with that life.
Or commute. Remember, the word of the day is commute, boys and girls. It ain't a pardon if it's a commute. Do your research before you get all excited.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. Appreciate it, Razor.